What's up, everybody? Welcome to The Revival. My name is JJ, and today we are looking at boxed Game Boy games. So I want to preface this by saying that these are my boxed Game Boy games technically, but they're not all just regular Game Boy games. I figured I'd just make one video rather than doing like one whole video on 4 boxed Game Boy Color games and Game Boy Advance games that I have. I think it just makes more sense to do all of them at the same time. But these are all my obviously boxed. I had the instruction manual somewhere for all these as well. I've got a stack of them just sitting in a box. One of these days I need to just go through and actually like put them all back into the box. I think some of them probably do have them in there. But also real quick before I get started, I am getting closer, it seems every week, to getting that 100 subscribers. And once I do, like I said in a previous video, I will be doing a video on my favorite item in my collection, which I'm super stoked to talk about because I've been wanting to gush about it for a while. And it's really awesome, and of course it's Final Fantasy related, so I'm super excited. So yeah, help me out. Give me likes and shares and all that junk, and I would appreciate it. And you know, if you enjoy my content otherwise, and you just want to do it for that, even better. But I would really appreciate any support you can give me. But let's get into some Game Boy games. So, I'm not even sure where to start. Why don't we just start up here? We'll go with the first little stack here, which is Game Boy Color. So, the first one that I've got up is Lufia: The Legend Returns. I love sprite graphics on old school RPGs. They're just so great. I haven't beaten this game, but I remember playing it, and I'm looking at it right now. You have like 9 party members in battle at a time that you use. It's like ridiculous. I don't remember much about the story, but it's definitely one that I want to go back to at some point because I am just like, first of all, I love the Lufia series, and also I remember when I did play this, it was okay. I like, obviously if I don't remember too much about it, it didn't like strike a chord or anything like that, but I remember not hating it, and it is something that I would like to go back and finish because those old school RPGs are my jam. So yeah, definitely one I want to get back to at some point, and that's Lufia: The Legend Returns on Game Boy Color. The next one up would be Dragon Warrior Monsters. This is kind of a like Dragon Warrior meets Pokemon type thing. You're going through the game, capturing monsters, if I remember correctly, yeah, and you're leveling them up and kind of going through a Dragon Warrior-esque story. Kind of fun, kind of neat. It's no Pokemon, but I remember still having a good time with it. Another one that I never finished, but I did spend a lot of time with it, and I enjoyed what I played of it. The next one I have not played, and I haven't even taken out of the plastic here. This is Deja Vu 1 and 2. And I actually got to give a shout out to Blaine over at the Is It Worth It podcast. Because he actually had he did an episode on this, and like at the end of it, he was like, I think there were like, 2 or 3 copies left still up on Amazon for like $30, which is way cheaper than what it's actually going for on eBay and stuff. They seem to be new and complete in box and everything, so go check it out. And I as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh snap! So I went, and sure enough, there was a couple left. So I snagged one, so thank you for the tip on that, because this game looks really neat to me, and I would love to try it at some point, but man, there's just something about keeping a box in the plastic wrap, so it's going to be tough not to play it at some point. And I'm more of I get games because I want to play them rather than I get it because, it's something I want to collect. Like, I love collecting, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, like, I don't want it to just sit there. I want to get some use out of it and play it. So when I've gotten into that whole spiel about why I don't buy like collector's editions anymore, because that stuff does just sit there. But I am super happy that I have that. The last one is Dragon Warrior 1 and 2. This is actually how I experienced both of these games, was on the Game Boy Color. Just a really nice port of the first two Dragon Warrior games from the NES. Really, really, really enjoyed my time with both of them. I have been I'm super late to the party on this series, but man, I am on, the next game I'm going to be playing is 5, and I've just been going in order, and it's been such a fun ride to see how the series evolves from one game to the next, and both of these, just first one to the next one was just a huge leap, and the same thing to the third one, and then the fourth one, and it's just so cool to see that. And then, you see the games that they have today. Dragon Warrior 11 just came out during Quest 11, and it's like they still hold on to their roots while doing all these improvements and, letting people still feel that same feeling they had when they first played the original ones. And I think that's just such a great thing because, well, my favorite series is Final Fantasy. I don't know that necessarily you can say the same about that series because the games are so vastly different. But then again, you could also argue that, the Final Fantasy series offers something for everybody because they are so different. So, which isn't a bad thing at all. So, but yeah, these really, really fun games, Dragon Warrior 1 and 2. So next we'll hit up the Game Boy Advance games here. First one up is Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. You know what? I enjoyed this game. Nothing's going to beat the original Final Fantasy Tactics when it comes to tactical RPGs. The one on PlayStation, it's just, I don't know that they're going to come close to that. This was a fun game. I guess I don't have the box for the second one. This is a fun game, but I never finished it because, I really wanted to keep doing as much as I could, but there's just so many missions and so many things to do and so many characters and classes, and I'm just I was overwhelmed. I'm not saying I'll never go back to it because I definitely want to, because I do remember enjoying it. I do remember hating the judge system though. I thought that was just, I don't know why you would put that in there. But the game itself is pretty solid as far as a tactical RPG. There's just so much going on. It was just overwhelming. So kind of put it on the back burner for a while, but definitely would like to go back and do that one as well. Final Fantasy 1 and 2 Dawn of Souls. Just a little port and some updated graphics on the original Final Fantasy 1 and 2. I don't know that I've actually I may have popped this in once and just kind of messed around with a little bit, but as far as actually completing these two games, I did that on the PSP for the first time. So I can't really speak to too much about these and how they hold up to the originals and stuff. But I mean, it was Final Fantasy, and it's a game that I saw in a box, so I definitely picked it up. Then of course, Legend of Zelda, just because I love this game so much, and I saw it pretty cheap and picked it up because they had it on Game Boy Advance. Why not? Zelda on the go, I'll take it. And now it's on Switch, so it's even better. The last one is for Game Boy Advance is Yu-Gi-Oh! The Eternal Duelist Soul. To be honest, I can't tell you much about this game. I remember playing it a bunch. I don't think I ever finished it. I'm not I'm not a hardcore Yu-Gi-Oh! Fan or anything. I know how to play. I don't keep up to date with the cards. I don't collect the cards in real life or anything. But every now and then I'll get a hankering just to play a card game or something. And I'll usually go with something I'm familiar with. So something like this, or a Magic the Gathering or something like that. And I don't know, it was fun, and I haven't gone back to it in years, so I couldn't tell you if it still holds up or anything. I had some fun times with it though. And then we've got regular Game Boy now. First one up is The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. Fantastic Zelda game. My favorite Zelda games are the top-down ones. And this one was just so much fun. If I remember correctly, this one has some side-scrolling elements too, which is kind of neat. And I just really, this is a great game. If you haven't tried this and you get the chance to, definitely check out Link's Awakening for the Game Boy, because it's really solid entry into the series, especially if you like the old school ones. Then we got Harvest Moon on the Game Boy. I could make a whole video on this game alone. This was my first introduction into the Harvest Moon series. And, you know, I really liked that it was portable. I don't know that I could have, like, sat on my big TV with my Super Nintendo and stuff and played it as much, because it was more like I had my Game Boy in my pocket, and I was just like, if I was bored or something, I'd just do a day real quick, and I'd knock out some farming or something like that. I remember seeing it in Nintendo Power and thinking the sprite graphics were really, really neat, and just reading like the whole article that they had on it, the whole spread, trying to think about like, all right, when it comes out, I'm gonna make sure I plant these vegetables in the fall, that way I can sell them later because they have a higher profit at this point, and like I was just like doing all the stuff in my head and just imagining all the things I was going to do with it. And then it came out and I played the absolute hell out of it. Did the first year, did not beat it in the first year. And unfortunately, once the first year was done, in my mind I was like, alright, well I completed a year, and then I just kind of fizzled out as far as playing it. But I really enjoyed my time with it, and I would love to go back and maybe just like, I don't know that I'd play it all the way through again, but I did have a good time with it. Just kind of like mess around and just feel nostalgic about it. The next two I have done a video on before. I have done a Pokemon video on Red and Blue and how I didn't know anybody else had played it, so I bought both and a second Game Boy. But these are some of the most nostalgic games that I have for this system. Absolutely adore both of these, especially Blue. I put so much time into this game, like at least 200 hours, which for me back then was ridiculous. Even today, that's a lot for me. I know some people put, 4, 5, 6, even more times that much, but for me, that's a lot of time. I had so much fun with it, and I really, really enjoyed it. So yeah, Pokemon Red and Blue. I love that they're still in great shape too. The only one that's really not in like fantastic shape is probably the Yu-Gi-Oh one. The bottom's a little bit ripped on there. I was surprised they even had that, to be honest with you. Next one up, actually I'll just do all these. So I've got Final Fantasy Adventure, then Final Fantasy Legend 1, 2, and 3. Hopefully you can see all that in the camera. These are all interesting games. So Adventure is like, it's like a Secret of Mana type game. If I remember correctly, it is actually the first entry into that series. But it's like, it's almost like Zelda, just walking around top down fighting, but you get another party member that joins you. It's a super cool little adventure. They've remade the game, I think, a couple of times since then, which I haven't tried any of the remakes, but I did have some fun times with that. Final Fantasy Legend. This is the only one of these 3 games that I have beaten. I like these games. What I don't like is the equipment wear and the like how your weapons degrade and stuff. And that you lose durability. I'm not a fan of that, and so you have to keep like buying stuff, and it takes up inventory slots because you have to usually carry like multiple copies because you can't repair them. You just, once you use all 40 uses or whatever it is for that weapon, it's gone. I'm just not a fan of that. But as far as like the gameplay and the games themselves, I love that you can choose your own party. Except in 3. In 3, you actually have a set party. But in 1 and 2, you get to choose your own party between like robots and mutants and humans and monsters, and it's a lot of fun to kind of experiment and play through. So hopefully I will get to 2 and 3 at some point. I've played a little bit of them, but 1 is the only one that I've actually beaten. Not an easy game, by the way, and lots of grinding involved. But yeah, guys, that is my Game Boy boxed collection. Thanks again for watching, and as always, give it a like, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and help me get to 100, because I'd love to show off that item. It's really, really cool, and I'm really excited to talk about it. So, thanks again, and as always, keep on gaming.